Good morning. My name is Phil Wendling, and I'm a house parent here at St. Joseph's Indian School. And welcome to Story Time. I'm going to read a story for you this morning. This story is entitled "The Enchanted Buffalo," and it's by L. Frank Baum. This is a tale of the royal tribe of Oh Colum, those mighty buffaloes that once dominate all the western prairies. 700 strong were the Oh Colum. Great shaggy creatures herding together and defying all enemies. Their range was well known to the Indians, to lesser herds of bison, and to all the wild animals that roamed in the open, but none cared to molest or interfere with the royal tribe. Dakota was the first king of the Oh Colum, by odds the fiercest and most intelligent of his race. He founded the tribe, made the laws that directed their actions, and led his subjects through wars and dangers until they were acknowledged masters of the prairie. Dakota had enemies, of course, even in the royal tribe. As he grew old, it was whispered he was in league with Pact, the evil genius of the prairies. Yet few really believed the lying tale. Those who did, but feared King Dakota the more. The days of this monarch were prosperous days for the Oh Colum. In summer, their feeding grounds were ever rich in succulent grasses. In winter, Dakota led them to fertile valleys in the shelter of the mountains. But in time, the great leader grew old and gray. He ceased quarreling and fighting and began to love peace, a sure sign that his days were numbered. Sometimes he would stand motionless for hours, apparently in deep thought. His dignity relaxed. He became peevish. His eye, once shrewd and compelling, grew dim and glazed. Many of the younger bulls who coveted his kingship waited for Dakota to die, some patiently, some impatiently. Throughout the herd there was an undercurrent of excitement. Then one bright spring morning, as the tribe wandered in single file toward new feeding grounds, the old king lagged behind. They missed him presently and sent Bargh, the bull, back over the hills to look for him. It was an hour before this messenger returned, coming into view above the swell of the prairie. "The king is dead," said Bargh the bull, as he walked calmly into the midst of the tribe. "Old age has at last overtaken him." The members of the Colum looked upon him curiously. Then one said, "There's blood on your horns, Bargh. You did not wipe them well upon the grass." Bargh turned fiercely. "The old king is dead," he repeated. "Hereafter I am the king." No one answered in words, but as the tribe pressed backward into a dense mass, 4 young bulls remained standing before Bargh, quietly facing the would-be king. He looked upon them sternly. He had expected to contend for his royal office. It was a law that any of the tribe might fight for the right to rule the Oh Colum, but it surprised him to find there were 4 who dared dispute his assertion that he was king. Bargh the bull had doubtless been guilty of the cowardly act in goring the feeble old king to his death. But he could fight, and fight he did. One after another, the powerful young bulls were overthrown, while every member of the tribe watched the great tournament with eager interest. Bargh was not popular with them, but they could not fail to marvel at his prowess. To the onlookers, he seemed inspired by unseen powers that lent him a strength fairly miraculous. They murmured together in odd tones, and the name of the dead Pact was whispered more than once. At the last of the 4 bulls, the pride of the half of the tribe lay at the feet of the triumphant Bargh. The victor turned and cried aloud, "I am the king of the Oh Colum. Who dares dispute my right to rule?" For a moment there was silence. Then a fresh young voice exclaimed, "I dare," and a handsome bull calf marched slowly into the space before Bargh and proudly faced him. A muttered protest swelled from the assemblage until it became a roar. Before it had subsided, the young one's mother rushed to his side with a wail of mingled love and fear. "Oh no, Achnu," she pleaded desperately. "Do not fight, my child. It is death. See, Bargh is twice thy size. Let him rule the Oh Colum. But I myself am the son of Dakota, the king, and fit to rule in his place," answered Achnu, tossing his head with pride. "This Bargh is an interloper, but there is no drop of royal blood in his veins. But he is nearly twice thy size, moaned the mother, nearly frantic with terror. He is leagued with the evil genius. To fight him means defeat and death. He is a murderer, returned the young bull, glaring towards Bargh. He has killed his king, my father. Enough, roared the accused. I am ready to silence this king's cub. Let us fight. No, said an old bull, advancing from the herd. Achnu shall not fight today. He is too young to face the mighty Bargh, but he will grow both in size and strength, and then, when he is equal to the contest, he may fight for his father's place among the Oh Colum. In the meantime, we acknowledge Bargh our king. A shout of approval went up from all the tribe, and in the confusion that followed, the old queen thrust her bold son out of sight amongst the throng. Bargh was king. Proudly, he accepted the acclaim of the Oh Colum, the most powerful tribe of his race. His ambition was at last fulfilled. His plotting had met with success. The unnatural strength he had displayed had vanquished every opponent. Bargh was king. Yet as the new ruler led his followers away from the field of conflict and into fresh pastures, his heart was heavy within him. He had not thought of Prince Achnu, the son of the terrible old king he had assisted to meet his death. Achnu was a mere youth, half-grown and untried. Yet the look in his dark eyes, as he had faced his father's murder, filled Bargh with a vague uneasiness. The youth would grow and bade fair to become as powerful at a time as Dak himself. And when he was grown, he would fight for the leadership of the Oh Colum. Bargh had not reckoned upon that. When the moon came up and the prairie was dotted with the reclining forms of the host of the royal tribe, the new king rose softly to his feet and moved away with silent tread. His pace was slow and stealthy until he had crossed the first rolling swell of the prairie. Then he set off at a brisk trot that covered many miles within the next 2 hours. At length, Bargh reached a huge rock that towered above the plain. It was jagged and full of rents and fissures, and after a moment's hesitation, the king selected an opening and stalked fearlessly into the black shadows. Presently, the rift became a tunnel, but Bargh kept on, feeling his way in the darkness with his forefeet. Then a tiny light glimmered ahead, guiding him, and soon after he came to a vast cave hollowed in the center of the rock. The rough walls were black as ink, yet glistened with an unseen light that shed its mellow but awesome rays throughout the cavern. Here Bargh paused, saying in a loud voice, "To thee, O Pagshot, evil genius of the prairies, I give greeting. All has occurred as thou didst predict. The great Dak is dead, and I, Bargh the Bull, am ruler of the tribe of Oh Colum." For a moment after he ceased, the stillness was intense. Then a voice, grave and deep, answered in the language of the buffaloes, "It is well." "But all difficulties are not yet swept aside," continued Bargh. "The old king left a son, an audacious young bull, not half grown, who wished to fight me. But the patriarchs of the tribe bade him wait until he had size and strength. Tell me, can the young Prince Achnu defeat me then?" "He can," responded the voice. "Then what shall I do?" demanded the king. "Thou hast promised to make me secure in my power." "I promised only to make you king of the tribe, and you are king. Farther than that, you must protect yourself." The voice of the evil genius made the answer. "But since you are hereafter my slave, I will grant you one more favor, the power to remove your enemy by enchantment." "And how may I do that?" asked Bargh eagerly. "I will give you the means," was the reply. "Bow low thine head, and between the horns I will sprinkle a magic power." Bargh obeyed. "And now?" said he inquiringly. "Now," responded the unseen voice. "Mark well my injunctions. You must enchant the young prince and transform him from a buffalo into a small and insignificant animal. Therefore, tomorrow you must choose a spring, and before any of the tribe is drunk therein, shake well your head above the water, that the powder may sift down into the spring. At the same time, center your thoughts intently upon the animal into which you wish the prince transformed. Then he let him drink of the water in the spring, and the transformation on the instant will be accomplished. That is very simple, said Bargh. Is the powder now between my horns? It is, answered the voice. Then farewell, O Pagshat. From the cavern of the evil genius, the king felt his way through the passages until he emerged upon the prairie. Then softly, that he might not disturb the powder of enchantment, he trotted back to the sleeping horde. Just before he reached it, a panther, slender, lithe, and black as coal, bounded across his path, and with a quick blow of his hoof, Bargh crushed the animal's skull. Panthers are miserable creatures, mused the king, as he sought his place among the slumbering buffalo. I think I shall transform young Achnu into a black panther. Secure in his great strength, he forgot that a full-grown panther is the most terrible foe known to his race. At sunrise, the king led the royal tribe of Oh Colum to a tiny spring that welled clear and refreshing from the center of a fertile valley. It is the king's right to drink first, but after bending his head above the spring and shaking it vigorously, Bargh drew back and turned to the others. Come, I will prove that I bear no ill will, he said treacherously. Prince Achnu is the eldest son of our dead but venerated King Dakota. It is not for me to usurp his rights. Prince Achnu shall drink first. Hearing this, the patriarchs looked upon one another in surprise. It was not like Bargh the bull to give way to another. But the queen mother was delighted at the favor shown her son, and eagerly pushed him forward. So Achnu advanced proudly to the spring and drank, while Bargh bent his thoughts intently upon the Black Panther. An instant later, a roar of horror and consternation came from the royal tribe, for the form of Prince Achnu had vanished, and in his place crouched the dark form of a trembling, terrified panther. Bargh sprang forward. Death to the vermin, he cried, and raised his cloven hoof to crush in the panther's skull. A sudden spring, a flash through the air, and the Black Panther alighted on Bargh's shoulders. Then his powerful jaws closed over the buffalo's neck, pressing the sharp teeth far into the flesh. With a cry of pain and terror, the king reared upright, striving to shake off his tormentor, but the panther held fast. Again Bargh reared, whirling this way and that, his eyes staring, his breath quick and short, his great body trembling convulsively. The others looked on fearfully. They saw the king kneel and roll upon the grass. They saw him rise with his foe still clinging to his back with claw and tooth. They heard the moan of despair that burst from the stricken leader. And the next instant Bargh was speeding away across the prairie like an arrow fresh from a bow, and his bellows of terror grew gradually fainter as he passed from their sight. The prairie is vast. It is lonely as well. A vulture resting on outstretched wings watched anxiously the flight of Bargh the bull as hour by hour he sped away to the southward, the one moving thing on all the great expanse. The sun sank low and buried itself in the prairie's edge. Twilight succeeded and faded into night. A still black shadow, leap by leap, sprang madly from the gloom. The jackals paused, listening to the short, quick pants of breath, the irregular hoofbeats of the galloping buffalo. But while they hesitated, the buffalo passed on, with the silent panther still crouched upon its shoulders. In the black night, Bargh suddenly lifted up his voice. Come to me, O Pagshat, evil genius that thou art. Come to my rescue, he cried. And presently it seemed that another dark form rushed along beside his own. Save me, Pagshat, he moaned. Crush thou mine enemy and set me free. The cold whisper reached him in reply. I cannot. Change him again into his own form, panted Bargh. Hark ye, Pagshat, 'tis the king's son, the cub, the weakling. Disenchant him, ere he proves my death. Again the calm replied like a breath of winter, sending a chill to his very bones. I cannot. Bargh groaned, dashing onward, ever onward. When you are dead, continued the voice, Prince Achnu will resume his own form, but not before. Did we not make a compact? Questioned Bargh in despairing tone. We did, said the evil genius, and I have kept my pact. But you have still to fulfill a pledge to me. At my death, only at my death, Pagshat, cried the bull, trembling violently. A cruel laugh was the only response. The moon broke through a rift in the clouds, flooding the prairie with silver light. The evil genius had disappeared, and the form of the solitary buffalo, with its clinging silent foe, stumbled blindly across the endless plains. Bargh had bargained with the evil one for strength, and the strength of 10 bulls was his. The legends do not say how many days and nights the great buffalo fled across the prairies with the Black Panther upon his shoulders. We know that the Utes saw him, and the Apaches, for the legends tell of it. Far to the south, hundreds of miles away, lived the tribe of the Comanches, and those Indians for many years told their children of Bargh the bull, and how the evil genius of the prairies, having tempted him to sin, betrayed the self-made king and abandoned him to the vengeance of the Black Panther, who was the enchanted son of the murdered King Dakota. The strength of 10 bulls was in Bargh, but even that could not endure forever. The end of the wild run came at last, and as Bargh fell lifeless upon the prairie, the Black Panther relaxed its hold and was transformed into its original shape. For the enchantment of the evil genius was broken, and restored to his own proper form, Prince Achnu cast one last glance upon his fallen enemy, and then turned his head to the north. It would be many moons before he could rejoin the royal tribe of the Oh Colum. Since King Bargh had left them in his mad dash to the south, the royal tribe had wandered without a leader. They knew Achnu, as the Black Panther, would never relax his hold on his father's murderer, but how strange adventure might end, all were unable to guess. So they remained in their well-known feeding grounds and patiently awaited the news of the absent ones. A full year had passed when a buffalo bull was discovered one day crossing the prairie in the direction of the Oh Colum. Dignity and pride was in his step. His glance was fearless and full of wisdom. As he stalked majestically to the very center of the herd, his gigantic form towered far above that of any buffalo among them. A stillness fraught with awe settled upon the royal tribe. "It is old King Dakota come to life again," finally exclaimed one of the patriarchs. "Not so," answered the newcomer in a clear voice, "but it is the son of Dakota, who has avenged his father's death. Look upon me. I am Achnu, king of the royal tribe of the Oh Colum. Dares any dispute my right to rule?" No voice answered the challenge. Instead, every head of the 700 was bowed in silent homage to Achnu, the son of Dakota, the first king of the Oh Colum. Thanks for listening.